Transformers 1 is a brand new film directed by Josh Cooley and starring Chris Hemsworth, Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson. And honestly, after a few hits and a few misses, I was a bit taken aback to see this franchise heading in an animated direction. And really my biggest question going in was, how is this movie going to stand up against the live-action films? And it's safe to say that I'm pretty happy with how things turned out, and I have a lot to say. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This is my spoiler-free review, so smash like, subscribe if you're new here, and let's roll out. So, Transformers 1, if you're unfamiliar, is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once were friends bonded like brothers who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. And honestly, I'm gonna say this right off the top, I'm somebody who has stuck around with this franchise. Some people left after Dark of the Moon, not me. Age of Extinction, why not? And more recently, I did really like Rise of the Beasts. I thought it was a great movie. But again, when I saw that they were making an animated film, I was a little bit perplexed because I was like, I thought the franchise was going one way and now you're bringing it another way? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? But very quickly after sitting down in this film, I knew exactly what we were doing here. It's an origin story. Freaking Optimus Prime and Megatron, dude. And the entire thing is taking place on Cybertron. So it's our first story completely removed from any type of human element. And that made for such a unique and compelling film because you're just able to kind of sink into this animation, this world, and these characters. And they're all so well done, and the score was absolutely beautiful, and I don't know, it was a really moving experience, and I did not expect that. Honestly, walking out of the theater, I was really high on it, and I was thinking like, man, maybe this is my second favorite of the franchise. I've reevaluated a little bit now. I think it's probably my third, though. But yeah, getting into this, you know, it's kind of an adjustment having a young voice playing Optimus Prime. You have Chris Hemsworth, but then you realize that it's Chris Hemsworth. He's awesome, and the way that his voice kind of slowly evolves throughout this entire film into a little bit of his own spin on the Optimus Prime voice that we all know, it's really cool. You also have Tyree Henry in there. He's playing a character named D. He's like Optimus's best friend, and there's a lot of room to explore some really emotional stuff with his character, and his voice acting at certain parts is pretty peak stuff. His character mainly is where a lot of the emotion of the film stems from, and it was cool, you know, seeing and listening to him just really go for it. But you also have Scarlett Johansson in there. She was a really nice addition just because I feel like, yeah, I don't know, movie theater audiences know her and Chris Hemsworth working together just because of the MCU. That just feels familiar, and their chemistry, even if it's just vocal performances, it just makes sense. But there were two other performances that I really wanted to call out. You had Bumblebee, a talking Bumblebee, I might add, which is super weird, but he's being played by Keegan-Michael Key, and this is where the writing comes into things. I thought they were so clever just with the Bumblebee character. He was hilarious. The humor worked, at least for me, but it still manages to slow down when they need to and also hone in on the things that are most important with the story, kind of moving the plot forward, and that leads you to another character. You have this Sentinel Prime character played by John Hamm. It honestly took me forever to pinpoint that it was John Hamm, but when I did, I was like, okay, let's freaking go. But he's a crucial character in this film, and I feel like they could have just gotten anybody and it would have been okay, but the fact that it's John Hamm doing this, he gives one hell of a performance, and it gives this character a kind of cadence and a different element that carries more weight. But what this movie is able to explore with not only Cybertron as a whole, but the origins of it and the Primes, and now the origin of the Decepticons and the Autobots, it's enticing, and our characters go on this journey of discovery where everything that they thought that they knew slowly starts to unravel. I really dug the message of sometimes things aren't what they seem. Sometimes things can be more sinister than they might appear on the surface. And if that happens, our best course of action is to stick together as one. Regardless of our differences, we always stand a better chance if we come together. I love that aspect, and honestly, I loved the adventure of it all. It felt different, you know, all the different species and the effects that we get to see, and most of all, I loved the transforming. Like when this well-constructed story comes full circle and we reach the final act, there are some insane action set pieces that are so much fun, and just be ready for it because it hits. The battle for Cybertron is just beginning, and to see Optimus and Megatron coming into their own, realizing their true power, these are just some classic and fun character arcs to watch, man. The final battle honestly reminded me of Anakin fighting Obi-Wan. It's not as long, obviously, but even just the fact that an animated Transformers film made me feel like that, that, it made me a little bit weepy. I was like, damn, dude. But there is a post-credit scene that you should absolutely stick around for. It has some implications for the future moving forward. There is setup for a sequel, and I highly suggest you getting your friends and going and seeing this movie, because selfishly, guys, I need a sequel. And it's a great movie. Unfortunately, this is a small spoiler. There is no Linkin Park. And that's always a tough pill to swallow when it doesn't end like that. But in conclusion, Transformers 1 blasts into this franchise with a bang, man. I didn't realize how much I needed this origin story, but when done right, these characters truly shine. And as for my Jones Vibe star rating, my friends, I'm giving Transformers 1 4.5 out of 5 stars, no doubt. But if you've seen Transformers 1, let me know all of your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. If you haven't seen it, do you plan on going and seeing it? And what do you think about the Transformers franchise as a whole? Let me know all of that down below. Also, make sure that you smash the like button if you haven't already. Hit subscribe, join the Jones Vibes community, and keep up the good vibes, my friends. Peace!